53.58 crores. 53.58 crores. Just register this number, because by the end of this, it is this number that will decide our next debate. In a country with a population of 140 crore people, nearly 40% people are on WhatsApp. Tehseen Poonawalla is on WhatsApp right now, typing away. And this figure, just by the way, is only expected to increase as more and more Indians get access to cheap internet. So to cut a long story short, WhatsApp is very big in India and it is set to get bigger. But is it also set to say goodbye to India? WhatsApp dropped a bombshell in the Delhi High Court today. It said that if the Indian government forces it to break its USP, that is its end-to-end encryption, it will walk away from India. In short, WhatsApp is saying if they are made to reveal who sent what message to whom, they will end their operations in India. But why this grandstanding? WhatsApp is actually challenging the Government of India's Information Technology 2021 rules. The bone of contention is a right which you, me, and every citizen in India enjoys, the right to privacy. The Supreme Court of India has already ruled that the right to privacy is a fundamental right. And WhatsApp says that the new IT rules will force them to identify the sender of a message, which will violate the user's right to privacy along with their right to free speech. Which means WhatsApp essentially doesn't want to tell the Government of India or anyone else where a particular message is originating from. The centre on its part has argued that the right to privacy is not absolute, and the traceability aspect in the new IT rules will help them fight fake news and hate speeches. Let's always remember, WhatsApp is the biggest carrier of misinformation and fake news. Fake news in India, ladies and gentlemen, is not just about haldi curing cancer. It is actually about people ending up dead. So you can never underestimate it. WhatsApp on its part has also argued that no other country has ever asked it to break its end-to-end encryption, but that isn't entirely true. In the United States, there have been several instances of the government ordering WhatsApp to release messages, although the company has not obliged them. The Delhi High Court today has concurred with the government and said that privacy rights are not absolute, especially in cases of national importance and national security, or when it comes to a question of maintaining communal harmony in the country. The court also informed both WhatsApp and the centre that a middle ground needs to be found in this right to privacy interpretation battle. The matter has now been adjourned till August 14th. Question is the government trying to invade our privacy via a tool that India uses to communicate, and it is India's preferred choice? Is WhatsApp being bullied to break its privacy oath by the Indian government? Or does WhatsApp simply need to live by the rules of the country that they exist in? A quick chat with my guest this evening. Ashwani Kumar Dubey is an advocate in the Supreme Court. He's joining us on the broadcast. Nikhil Pava is founder, Media Nama. He's also a digital rights activist. Thank you very much. And Tehseen Poonawalla is a political analyst and an avid user and fan of WhatsApp, joining us on the broadcast as well. Nikhil Pava, when WhatsApp says, you ask us to betray our customers' privacy and we walk out, is that simply grandstanding? Or is them standing their moral ground and saying, well, our USP is our end-to-end encryption, and if the Government of India doesn't like it and wants us to break that code, well, goodbye then, we are off.
So Shreya, end-to-end encryption isn't just a model issue, it's also a technical thing. It's for WhatsApp to break end-to-end encryption, it will have to completely re-architect its app. And that doesn't just apply to India, it will have to apply globally. So you can't, it's not like a tap where, let's say, to identify one user, you remove end-to-end encryption for that user, or for one country you remove end-to-end encryption. You'd have to remove it for the entire world in one go. End-to-end encryption is a technology that ensures that even WhatsApp and Facebook can't read our messages. Only the person who's sending and the person who's receiving can read it. Unless, of course, a government like the government of India uses Pegasus to infiltrate someone's phone and reads them unencrypted on the device. So I think we need to be very, very cautious of what we're asking WhatsApp to do over here, because removing end-to-end encryption means that it's introducing a backdoor, which means that other people can also read our messages if they hack into WhatsApp. Because effectively there will be a server in the middle that will be able to check the messages that they're going through. That's what the government of India wants. So unfortunately, it means that then everyone else will lose the privacy of their messaging, what we're sharing with our loved ones personally, or even, let's say, what a journalist is talking to a source, or even government officials interacting or engaging with each other. Everything will be open for surveillance, just like SMSs and the regular calls that we use in India today are. Surveillance needs to be proportionate in this country. It means that you can't basically make everyone less secure or everyone vulnerable and violate the right to privacy of every individual just because you want to catch one person. And there's a flaw in what you had said. People don't end up dead because of mobs, because of fake news. They end up dead because the police can't control those mobs. I'm sorry, but it is a job of the government to ensure that people don't die in mob violence and mobs can't go on rampage. And just because they can't do that job, the privacy of the entire country, if not the entire world, needs to be violated. I think that's completely unacceptable. You can't make us more secure by making us more vulnerable. And removing end-to-end encryption makes us vulnerable.
Mr. Dubey, would you want to come in here? Why would the government want to invade our privacy and read our messages? हर चीज national security के नाम पे तो आप नहीं दे सकते ना. In this case also national security is the government's trump card.
Shreya, privacy is not absolute right, but is subject to reasonable restrictions. One of the most important judgment of 9 judges of Honorable Supreme Court, which laid down that the privacy is a fundamental right. But there are 4 tests to that judgment. 1, such an act of interference by the government must be sanctioned by the law. Point to be noted. So it has twofold. First, the reasonable restrictions that can be put on the exercise of privacy as a fundamental right, such as the national interest specifically, or where there is a threat to the sovereignty of India, public order, decency, or the provisions as has been passed by the Parliament, the Intermediary Guidelines 2021, which says the originator of the masses, his name should be disclosed because of the investigation of some matter. Now, 2, the law should be backed by a legitimate and reasonable state interest so as to provide unnecessarily a state interference. So that is what is required, that there has to be a legal sanction for tracking out or for receiving some messages. Now, what is going on before the High Court? The WhatsApp says that, look, I have a right to privacy. I want to do business in your country. I'm not an Indian company. I don't want to give tax to India. But I will cite example of right to privacy, and therefore I am not amenable to Intermediary Guidelines 2021. Then the safe harbor field, which has given under the information technology sector, also is not available. Only thing is, right to privacy is absolute right, provided there is no violation of the law. What is the government is saying, what High Court has also agreed. You remember 2 years back, the same message came, the Facebook, Twitter, and the Bangalore High Court, Delhi High Court, all have dealt with this matter. Even in one of the matter, Vineet Goenka's matter, the Honorable Supreme Court has said that the right to privacy is not a fundamental right, and those who are doing their business or giving their platform to be used by the citizens of this country, they are amenable to the law. And law has to be fair and reasonable. Where is the wrong in it? So that is what the Delhi High Court has also acknowledged, the complexity of the situation. Honorable High Court says that the privacy rights were not absolute, and somewhere balance has to be done. And that is what is happening.
But Mr. Dubey, hear me out. WhatsApp says that they cannot end their end-to-end inscriptions because if the government of India doesn't have, access to the messages that we write on our WhatsApp, neither does WhatsApp. So it's not like WhatsApp is privy to them. And it's deliberately blocking the government of India from accessing those messages. ठीक है, सबसे पहले तो वो बात है. Secondly, you have to change your entire app, your entire configuration, not just here in India, but across the world to adhere to what the government of India is saying. Why will any company do that? Please tell me that. And is it not an unreasonable ask by the government of India? That to catch one person, you are troubling 50 crore other Indians and invading their privacy?
Why any government or any agency, if it has a reason to believe that there is a fake news or because of the message which is being circulated by a platform, which is saying, citing the example of end-to-end encryption, and that is leading to any of the violation of the law, cannot access to that. Even none of the countries, even if you talk about the Constituent Assembly debate, let's say where from the rights have come. Rights have come from the Constitution. Where from the Constitution has got right. Constitution has got right to the Constitution. Yes. So
right.
Nikhil wants to Nikhil wants to respond to that, and then I'll come to Tehseen. Nikhil, go ahead, please.
Look, if you want to get into technicalities, the IT rules themselves are illegal, and they're being challenged both by news organizations as well as WhatsApp, because they are based on due diligence requirements under Section 69A of the IT Act. And under due diligence requirements, you can't ask someone to basically bring traceability. That's an action. It's not a due diligence requirement. So the rules themselves are illegal. Secondly, I think Mr. Dubey forgot to mention the two other restrictions that the Supreme Court has placed, that the violation of privacy has to be not just backed by law, and it also has to be necessary and proportionate. Violating the privacy of all citizens by forcing the removal of end-to-end encryption is not proportionate. And guess what? The government of India knew this. This went into submissions from a bunch of civil society folks, including us, in 2019. The rules came out in 2021. They said, despite these contentions being placed before the government, they decided to say my way or the highway, and they brought these rules in. So let's be very realistic, right? India has a fundamental right to privacy, and it went to a 9-judge bench because the government of India, this government, opposed the right to privacy as a fundamental right. They lost that case. They do not believe in privacy. They want to break the privacy for every citizen, every viewer who's watching this. Remember, all your SMSs can be surveilled by the government. All your phone calls can be surveilled by the government. In 2019, it was found that 3,000 surveillance orders per month are being issued. Every single politician must be under regular surveillance for their calls today. Every journalist might be under surveillance. They want to bring the same thing to WhatsApp. People move to WhatsApp because it's more private, it is more secure. So if this needs to go to the Supreme Court, because basically we don't have surveillance reform in this country. You want to take away the privacy rights of individuals, but you don't want to even define national security in law. National security is not defined. The security, our intelligence agencies are operating under an ordinance. There is no government oversight. There's no parliamentary oversight over the security agencies. They surveil whoever they want, whenever they want. You don't have a problem with that kind of surveillance taking place in this country. But guess what? You want to remove the privacy of every single individual. I mean, what nonsense is this?
Okay, so you're saying essentially you're telling me this is not about catching that Khalistani terrorist or tracing that Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist. It is actually about snooping on all of us who use WhatsApp.
Absolutely.
Nikhil, that's what you're telling me, right?
Absolutely. That's what they want to do.
Okay. Tehseen. Let Tehseen come in, please.
So the right to privacy judgment came out when we moved the Supreme Court on Aadhaar. And that's when the Supreme Court took a diversion to first discuss whether privacy is a fundamental right or no. And Nikhil is absolutely right. This government opposed my petition and said, no. And I'm amongst various others saying privacy is not a fundamental right. But the Supreme Court stood up and said privacy is an absolute fundamental right. Now, how does this government violate it? So the argument put is the government wants to catch people who spread fake news or who spread hate speech, etc. But those who do, the hate speech is not the cause, right? The violence that causes it. Why don't the police stop the violence?
Even Nikhil has said it, but here's my point. Here's my point.
So
the fact is, one WhatsApp message goes around the entire village that says there are 3 bacha chors in the village. It is that fake WhatsApp message that leads to the mob congregating and lynching those three
And
people.
therefore-
And therefore, you cannot wish away the role of WhatsApp.
No. Therefore,
In what happens?
Therefore, first duty of the police is not to get after the WhatsApp. It's to get after the mob and stop them from this happening. That they have not brought laws in for, or they don't intend to bring in laws for, because who benefits from the mob violence? So all of this, who's making the hate speeches? The same politicians who want this. So why is no politician prosecuted under this? Who is making those hate speeches about guspetias, about fish eating? The same politicians. So why aren't they being prosecuted under it? That's the question. If there is hate speech, those who made it openly, forget WhatsApp, aren't they being prosecuted? Because the government has no intention. Now, let's come to other issues. What part of a prosecution is not complete without the WhatsApp being proved? In any case, if there's an act of terror, that comes under terror laws which are sufficient to put people in. But now I draw you back to Gautam Navlakha's case. Left loony, I don't like him. But the same NIA said that Gautam Navlakha wanted to assassinate our honorable Prime Minister. There were emails that said he wanted to assassinate. Who planted those emails today? Those cases have been dropped. Somebody's life has been ruined. Look at what this government is doing with. The government is not interested in going after terrorists. It's interested in going after common citizens. It's interested in putting the fear into the common citizens that the government is watching you. And that is draconian. That is scary. Do you know, Shreya, India has had more internet cut than Ukraine, and Ukraine is in a war? Why does the government want to do it? If this government can't control law and order, please step out. Leave. How dare you cut the internet and put everyone's life under threat? The internet has been, again, my case in Jammu and Kashmir, has been said under Article 19, a fundamental right. How do you cut away people's fundamental right to free speech?
Okay.
And today, just one last thing. All your businesses happen on WhatsApp. Do you want the government now to come in? Your private chats, your private conversation, your private videos, your private pictures. Why should the government be seeing it? What is the government's business? If the government believes that testing has something to do with terror, there are various other ways to catch it. His WhatsApp is not the only way to catch it, it's not the one way. But for one testing, you're going to go after everybody. That is the point. Why would you go after 50 crore and rising numbers? Because you want to control the population.
Okay. We leave this here. Almost all of us are on WhatsApp, and almost everyone who's watching this broadcast is on WhatsApp. So I'm sure everyone has a view. But Nikhil, okay, I can give you 20 seconds. The point is, the matter is going to the Supreme Court. It's not ending in the Delhi High Court, because there are fundamental, questions that are being asked via this case. But go ahead, Nikhil, I can give you 20 seconds and we'll wrap it there.
So last month we spoke with police departments across the country, UP Police, Hyderabad Police, and we were told that they basically look at metadata, and WhatsApp is giving metadata to the government when they give them a lawful order, and they're able to do some of their investigation using this. Metadata globally is acknowledged as being sufficient for this. Second point, there is a RISAA law which has been passed in the US, which basically allows them to intercept emails, messages, etc. between people, even outside the territory of the US, including in India. End-to-end encryption protects Indian citizens from surveillance by the US government today. We don't want that taken away.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us, Nikhil.
Yes.
Tessin, you're staying with us. Mr. Dubey, thank you very much for joining us as well. Here's the limited point I'll make. In my view, privacy in this country is a bit of a myth, with or without WhatsApp. So we'll see what the Supreme Court says on the matter, because it's fairly certain that the Supreme Court will be hearing this matter in some time from now.